Welcome to the 2022-23 men's basketball season preview presented by Hampton Inn Suites. My name is Matt Menzl, being joined by head coach Luke Reigel, back for his 20th season at the helm. And I know you like to look at the here and now, but just quickly, let's look back at last season, 14-14. What did you feel of the story last year?
We just never could get any momentum. We'd show little brief flashes, and the team I thought we could be, and whether it was an injury or an illness or just poor play, we couldn't put a really good stretch together. I think about we had a little run in January where I thought things were going better, and then all of a sudden we had 7 guys in practice due to COVID or something like that. All the teams were dealing with that, but that's what I felt like all season. I felt like there was more in that team to give, and we never could put the pieces together. And there's a bunch of factors in that. I didn't think we gelled really well as a group, and I thought we weren't as tough as we needed to be. So we're trying to improve in those areas for this coming year.
Rasheed Bello is back. He was the GLIAD Freshman of the Year. What did you see from Rasheed last year? What steps do you hope he takes now in year number 2?
He showed his potential last year. We had some older guards, and he wasn't really put in a big role until maybe a little bit farther along in the season. So he kind of got to grow into that, which was nice. But for him this year, we're looking for a lot more leadership. A point guard's got to be a leader. He's got to be the hardest worker. He's got to be a hard-nosed competitor, play both ends of the floor. And that might be a lot to ask for a sophomore, but we think he's more than capable of doing those type of things. And quite honestly, like when I look at the teams that we've had that have had a high level of success, the point guard wasn't only a really good player, but you never knew if he was having a good or bad game. He was always, real steady, lead the ship in the right direction, and those are the things that we're kind of looking for from Rasheed this year.
We'll talk more about some of the new faces on the roster too in a sec, because there are many new faces on this roster, but there were 8 players back. They were part of the team at least last year, and many will have expanded roles or different roles here this year. What are the expectations among the returnees?
It's interesting as we talk about the returning guys, and I don't know if I've ever had this, but every single returning guy is being thrust into a new and bigger role, really. Whether that's, more minutes, asking more for them from a leadership standpoint, just getting more reps in practice, all those different types of things. Like, we don't have a player that's returning that is coming back in a, let's just say the same type of situation as they were the year before, just trying to be a better player. Like, I look at all of our returning players and go, all right, Colin O'Rourke, can you jump up to another level as a presence inside, outside, but also from a leadership standpoint? Can you be one of our captains and do a really good job leading that? Guys like Jameer Simpson, Nick Brown, Jackson Hamilton, we need them to be complete players. That's one of the things we lacked last year, is we had guys that we were either maybe okay on offense or okay on defense, but we need guys to be complete players, because that's how you win games. You're 500 if you're playing guys that are one-dimensional, and with those guys, not only do we want them to be complete players, but they need to bring another level of toughness. Like you said, I thought that was something that really lacked, especially with our front line last year, that we just weren't tough enough. We didn't have a great basketball IQ at times. So with those guys, they're going to be in much bigger roles, much bigger opportunities for them. And so we'd like to see what they can do to really make our front line a lot tougher, more active, and really just harder to play against, quite honestly.
Yeah, as mentioned, a lot of new faces too. There were 7 newcomers, 5 freshmen, a couple of transfers. And I know we're only a couple of weeks as we taped this in the training camp, but how have the newcomers been fitting in so far?
It's been good. I really like the energy and the maturity they bring. We have a big group of freshmen, and then we mix in a couple transfers, but they go about their business. There isn't a lot of drama. There isn't maybe these huge personalities as far as just high maintenance. It's more of, hey, let's come in, let's get to work, let's follow the guys that have been here a while, right? We have a big group of guys that have been here going into their 3rd year. And so what I like is their ears are open, and their mouths are, they're asking questions that are quality questions. So that's how you get better, especially as a newcomer. So we're looking forward to that, whether it's, a guy like Sammy Fajana who's going to add some, size and presence inside, or a Ethan Ivan who was a big scorer in high school. We hope can give us a shot in the arm at times. And honestly, the other guy that is a returner but kind of feels like a newcomer is Josiah Palmer. He missed all of last year, and we're hoping we can get him healthy and he can give us some quality minutes as well.
Speaking of questions, what questions do you have about your own team heading into the first couple of weeks of the season?
I think we're like a lot of teams in our league this year. It's how are people going to perform in their new positions, in their new roles, right? Like we've had a bunch of guys that have had opportunities to get their feet wet over the last couple of years. There's clearly guys like Rashid and Jameer and Colin who had big roles in our team last year. But how is this new? It's just basically a new group. We had kind of a similar team for a couple of years in a row, and we kind of just tread water at 500. And so how is this group going to be different? How are they going to gel together? And most importantly, how are they going to perform when things get tough? A lot of guys can be good players when things are easy. How are things like the first time a team really gets after us and makes it difficult on us? How are we going to respond? Because that's something I think we need to be better at as well.
Besides some new faces on the court, a new face on the bench, Gabe Miller, a new assistant. Tell us about Gabe.
Gabe's been a breath of fresh air. He is, first of all, he brings a ton of energy every day. I don't know if there's been a morning, even if we're, working out at 6:30 in the morning or morning practices where he isn't beating me in the building and just ready to go. I don't think he sleeps. He's a machine. And so he's been fantastic in that realm. I know that our players really respect his work ethic, and he's a very positive person. So that's been great. And it's helped me. I think just to have someone in there that's, burning the candle at both ends. I know that he's always, ready to go to work. And if I ask him to get something done, it's done and done well. So he's been a great addition to the program, and so is Dylan Backlar, our new graduate assistant. He's a basketball junkie, and he just enjoys being around the game, and so really excited about the staff this year.
When you look at the schedule, tough non-conference slate, is that the ideal? Get that tough non-conference slate to prepare you for GLIAC?
Yeah, ever since we switched leagues, the non-conference scheduling has been much more difficult because we used to play all the GLIAC teams in our non-conference. And so finding teams where you don't have to travel halfway across the country, or at least throughout the whole Midwest, is one thing. I think it's also going to be good for our fans to have some familiar names on the schedule, right? Kentucky Wesleyan's coming, Lewis. We're going down to Missouri St. Louis. Like teams from our old league that we had great rivalries with. Is great to have them on the schedule as well. So it's difficult without a doubt. You throw in teams like Ashland and Winona, and going to Florida for a trip, it's not going to be easy, but we're hoping to prepare the team for a postseason run this year, not just making appearance in the postseason.
I know every year we tend to ask, what do you expect from the GLIAC? And it's difficult because it's still preseason and no one's played a game yet. So let's flip it around a little bit. When you think of GLIAC men's basketball, what comes to mind?
Balance. After having been in the league now for a few years, I think that the biggest thing that I've noticed is, now we're down to 10 teams, but there is nowhere you go on the road where you go, okay, we'll have a really tough game Thursday night, but we should win Saturday. Everywhere you go on the road in this league is this is going to be a tough game to win. And, you just look at how the standings usually play out, and there's usually a big group of teams somewhere around 500. And that's because, I think the coaching in the league is outstanding. I think everybody does a very nice job of getting the most out of their talent. And then there is, it's a big physical league. Whether you're looking at a team like Ferris, who year in and year out is one of the most athletic teams in the country. A team like Saginaw, we've had trouble with because they always seem to come in and beat us up. And there's just a lot of good coaches and a lot of good players in this league. The one thing that's interesting is how many of those guys graduated because they were fifth and sixth year guys. And quite honestly, I'm glad they're gone.
To sum it all up, what are you most looking forward to about this upcoming season?
I think fresh faces. We've had some guys that were in the program a long time, and really appreciate the effort and the character they brought to the program. But it's good to have fresh blood out there now. Like, this is a new team, and we have new guys that are trying to move into leadership roles. There are guys trying to establish themselves as quality Division II players. And like I said, the thing that stood out to me the most in the preseason has been the work ethic and the maturity which we approach everything with. And so that's exciting for me. Those are the type of teams I really enjoy coaching. And, we'll see where it all leads when it comes to wins and losses. But, physically, I think we're in about the best place we've been in a long time, knock on wood. It'd be nice to have a season where we're actually healthy with our best players the entire year. But overall, I just think it's a new group, probably, something that I'm looking forward to, whether it's the group or the staff, and just be ready to go here, whether it's scrimmages this week or exhibition games, and then the regular season's right around the corner.
Coach, thanks a lot for your time. All the best this season.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Continuing with the men's basketball season preview, Colin O'Rourke, our guest, our redshirt sophomore. First of all, how was your off season?
It was good. I was training hard in the summer. Worked with a really good trainer in Illinois. He's put me in front of some good other players, a lot of overseas pros, so it's good to go against them all the time. So I feel like I got a lot better over the summer.
Looking back at last year briefly, you started all 28 games, averaged over 8 points a game, scored double figures on 11 different occasions. How do you feel that season went?
I feel like it went decent. I mean, it was I kind of had the same stats as I did my freshman year. So this year I'm kind of looking to improve on those rather than kind of just stay the same. So hopefully I can do better this year.
Now, a couple of years ago, you were named the GLIAC Freshman of the Year. Did you notice opponents approach you any differently last year defensively coming off that GLIAC Freshman of the Year season?
Not too differently. I would just say just they knew I was a shooter once the second time around, so not too much different, but other than just running me off the line a little bit.
You talked about your off season and kind of how you went about training for this upcoming campaign. Is there any one area or two areas of your game, aspects of your game that you really focused on that you said, hey, I want to improve here?
Yeah, I did a lot of work in like the low posts just because I wasn't that great at it last season, so I made a big emphasis in the off season, just like low post, mid post, just scoring different ways, just different moves, stuff like that.
Of course, many teams know, and we've seen you could score in a variety of ways, inside out, so look out there. But you look at this team, number of new faces on this roster. How has everybody, all the newcomers, been fitting in so far?
Off the court, everyone fits in great. We all get along. We're a very close-knit team, so that's good. And on the court, obviously, the freshmen, it takes a little while for them to get going, but I think they're coming along really well. And guys like Sammy, he's catching up pretty quick, so I'm excited to see what the newcomers can do.
You're listed at 6'8", and we look at this roster. There's a lot of size. There's a lot of size on this team, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how's the competition been, at least inside in practice?
It's good, It's good going against people like my own size rather than someone who's like smaller than me. And then when it comes to game time, we go against bigger opponents. So I think it'll be good when it comes game time just to get that in-game experience.
When you look at training camp and with so many new faces on top of about 8 players that were on the team last year, is there a different vibe, a different sense in training camp, or is there still some familiarity as far as the returnees go with the newcomers?
I think there's a little bit of familiarity, but I think this year we're kind of just focused on really like staying positive throughout everything, just having a good attitude, whether it be morning practices or late night practices, whatever. I think we're just having a really good attitude this year, so it makes it a lot more enjoyable to be at practice this year.
To wrap it up for you, what goals do you have for yourself and for the team?
For the team, obviously I just would like to win conference tournament, be in first place, make the NCAA tournament. I don't see why we couldn't do that. I think we have all the potential. And for myself, obviously just increase my stats from last year. Saw kind of baseline for my first 2 years, so just increase those, get some more wins. That's pretty much it.
Colin, can't wait to watch. Season will be here before you know it. Thanks a lot for your time, and thank you for watching this men's basketball season preview presented by Hampton Inn Suites.